Sheepus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the channel but by me. Happy Easter.
Hello everybody, it's Hybrid.
And this is White Sheep.
And we are back with the next comic book versus number 45.
45 up there.
Is Hercules versus He-Man, which is probably unexpected, but it's actually, I've been really looking forward to this one.
I think I suggested this one, actually.
You did, because I was like, because I remember reading the He-Man versus, like, Masters of the Universe versus DC Universe crossover thing they did.
I will bring that up a lot.
Yeah, with the New 52, like, this is post-New 52. And as far as I know, it's like considered canon, basically. But because it's like it's not like two different publishers are doing it. It was like because He-Man's under DC, so I thought it was really interesting because He-Man was like going up against like Superman. He actually like you can tell you're gonna say it later what he does to Superman.
Yeah,
but
wrecked.
It's pretty cool, like just like the whole crossover in general. So I was like, we should really do one with He-Man because you know obviously me like a lot of other people initially remembered He-Man from his TV show, which wasn't all that flattering to him, really. It was
yeah,
like,
it was the 80s or the 2002 version still, which is very very campy. I think that was more of an homage to the 80s, really. But yeah, it's the comic version of He-Man and especially the New 52 crossover. The comic version of He-Man and the cartoon are two very different things.
Yeah. We definitely learned that in preparing for this matchup. So I was like, CJ, this is like months ago, because if you don't know this, we planned these matchups like essentially almost a whole year from like right now. So we were like, I remember I was in the car and I texted CJ, I was like, we need someone for He-Man. He thought about it. He was like, how about Hercules? I was like, we could do that.
Oh yeah.
So that's how we got here.
It's a lot shorter than How I Met Your Mother.
I have Hercules.
And I actually am going to be taking He-Man to my delight. And I real quick, I apologize for the sniffles. I'm actually sick. I know usually I have sniffles, but that's because of allergies. I've gotten sick. So forgive me for the extra sniffles.
Extra sniffles. But yeah, I have Hercules. So let's just get right into him. He's probably going to be really popular right now because I know The Rock has a Hercules movie coming out. We did not plan this for that, but it's really nice that it all fits together. But a little bit of background on him: he's the son of Zeus, skyfather of the Olympians, basically what Odin is to the Asgardians. And Hercules obviously is best known for his strength. Whenever someone's named Hercules or someone's called Little Hercules, usually you think about them being strong. But he's born to the human mother named Alcmena. I think that's how you say her name. I might have mispronounced it, but you know, obviously that kind of makes him like the bastard child of Zeus, so to speak. So Hera was really pissed about that, and if you know anything about the mythology, you know Hera caused tons of pain throughout Hercules' life as a demigod, but technically his mortal life, just because you know she hated the pure existence of Hercules. So he lived his legendary life. I call it legendary life because it's one of the most well-known hero stories ever in all history, which includes his 12 labors. So those are in Marvel canon. And eventually, you know, he died, like in, you know, mythology, to only be granted full godhood from Zeus. He regularly helps the Avengers nowadays in modern times on missions when they're needed. He kind of does his own thing to a degree too. And he is obviously his very long-standing rivalry with Thor, which we could talk about later, maybe. It's not really important, though, to this matchup. But, yeah, like I said, his real name is Alcaeus. I think that's how you say it. That's what he was born, like his birth name. But obviously he's been known as Heracles, which he hates, supposedly, because it reminds him of Hera. So he usually just goes by Hercules, which is actually, if I remember, Hercules is the Greek one, or it's the Roman. I think Hercules is the Roman one. Yeah, Hercules is the Roman one. Heracles is the Greek one.
Yeah. Both the same guy, though.
Yeah, same person, so don't get confused there. I know he has tons of different names, which is common for someone who's been around for so long. But his abilities is superhuman strength, speed, durability, immortality, healing. He's also a master combatant, archer, and marksman. Now, note here, the Olympians are actually like the only ones of the gods that are actually like kind of immortal, because like the Asgardians, they have longevity. They're not actually immortal. So I think that's pretty cool. His equipment, though, he has the golden mace, the Nemean lion skin, and obviously various ancient Greek artifacts, which I could go on the list, but it's really not really worth it because, in this fight, there's only 2 real things he's going to use. So let's get into his strength. It's full bars. It's not really known. There's not a known max. He's one of the strongest beings to ever exist. Even when he was still a mortal and a demigod, before he even got full godhood abilities. So he's done things like stop a punch from Sentry when Sentry was just going all out with his punch, and he did it without straining himself at all, really no difficulty. He's beaten Thor in hand-to-hand combat. They actually fought for. I'll get into his stamina, but they fought for a quite long time, and he beat Thor. And I remember reading this comic because I obviously read it to understand what I'm talking about here. And basically, what happened was they fought, and Hercules got him into a submission hold. And Hercules was stronger than Thor, so Thor couldn't break the hold at all. And that kept on happening until Zeus shot a thunderbolt down and kind of broke them up. But he did technically win that fight, so that's pretty cool. And Thor even admitted he's a better fighter than him and stronger. His most famous show of strength, obviously though, is from his 12 labors, where he held the Earth for 3 hours straight before persuading/tricking Atlas to take it back. So it's pretty cool. Obviously, he's very, very strong. His speed is superhuman. There's no clock time, but it's not like he can go Mach 1 or anything. So he could run at speeds obviously far above human limits due to the strength in his legs, and he can also react at superhuman levels too due to his extensive combat experience. He's been alive for millennia, various millennia, not centuries or anything. So over here, all that combat, just like Wonder Woman has very quick reflexes due to all combat, Hercules definitely has that also. His intelligence, he's what would be considered learned. He's learned many things, obviously, as he's been alive since ancient Greek times. So he's not stupid, but he's not Reed Richards super genius either. He's just he knows a lot of stuff. Moving on, fighting, he's what would be considered a master. He's one of the greatest hand-to-hand fighters or combatants to ever live. And he's the greatest combatant of all of Olympus, even beating the god of war. He co-created something called Pankraton, I don't know how to fully pronounce it, which is essentially the world's first, as it's been explained, all-encompassing fighting style similar to what we have nowadays with MMA, which it blends a bunch of different things, but it was also well known because it really enforced brutality and the punches and everything, which obviously complements really well with his super strength. He's also a master in boxing, wrestling. Obviously, wrestling was really big in ancient Greek times. Submission holds, I mentioned that earlier, Thor, and essentially any weapon that you could use in close combat that especially the ancient Greeks use, but just really in general, he's essentially a master with. Durability, he's what would be considered invincible. Hercules is the most durable Olympian, only being exceeded by Zeus, which is saying quite a bit. He can survive in space. He's taken a blast of cosmic, energy/rays from a Herald of Galactus, Nova actually, not Richard Rider Nova or Samuel Alexander Nova, but the Nova, who was a Herald of Galactus. They had a fight, and Hercules wasn't fazed at all by any of his cosmic energy blasts. And he also has withstanded getting hit by Mjolnir without, swelling up or anything. He just took it like a champ. So he also, besides that though, heals very, very fast. And like I said, is immortal. Now you see a star there, that's because he has the Nemean lion skin, which is also invincible, and I'll talk about that more later on when we get to it. So his energy, he has none, because he has no energy projection at all, which is an advantage He-Man has to Hercules. But his extras, he's highly skilled in all original Olympic events, like javelin, discus, etc., etc. If you look up online, probably Hercules Olympic events, you'll find the infamous one, I think it's Avengers Academy, where he was stripped naked like they used to do the Olympics, and he was showing them how to throw discus, which I think is hilarious. Because me personally, I do decathlons, and actually technically used to do decathlons, and I thought that was just really funny track and field wise. He also has an almost limitless amount of stamina. It's not said to be unlimited amount, but it's very, very, very vast, considering he fought Thor for weeks one time without stopping. They just went at it. He's also well known for his persuasive abilities. Like I said, he persuaded Atlas to take the Earth back after only 3 hours, which isn't a lot of time really when you consider how long Atlas held it beforehand. You think that's basically just stretching and taking it back. He also is very well known in the Marvel Universe for being persuasive with women. basically any woman he wants, he can have sex with. So he's like the man in terms of that. Also, he's best known as the world heavyweight drinker in the Marvel Universe. He's outdrinking Thor. He's outdrinking Wolverine. Basically, any character that drinks a lot, he's better than them.
Clearly, Andre the Giant isn't in the Marvel Universe, unfortunately. Like, go look up right now. Go look up Andre the Giant drinking, and you will find out that man was literally ridiculous. I can't remember off the top of my head, but just because he was so big, it took him a while to get drunk. But Josh, go back to you.
Okay, well, I'm wrapping it up now. The weapons I mentioned earlier, the golden mace, it's forged by Hephaestus, who's obviously the forger of the gods for Olympus, and it's made out of something called adamantine. Now, adamantine is indestructible. It's on par with like Eurometal that Mjolnir is made out of. And if you didn't know, adamantium is actually named after this. But basically, I guess think about adamantium, but golden. And that's what you have here. That's why it's called the golden mace. It's not made out of gold or anything. But also he has something called Nemean lion skin, which, is from the Nemean lion, if you couldn't tell. It's also said to be indestructible. Well, it is indestructible, not said to be indestructible. But, basically this on par with his already invulnerability kind of makes him a very, very difficult opponent to not only beat, but like to kill, per se, if that was the goal of He-Man. But, Hercules, he has a very strong code of honor and, fighting fairly. So he'd only use like his mace and he'd only wear the skin against a truly powerful opponent such as He-Man. So like that's why usually you don't see him with it, because he's not just going to use that against like a member of the Wrecking Crew. He's not just going to use it against like, let's say, Venom or Green Goblin or
until he'd bring out the mace, basically.
Yeah, like when Hercules brings out the mace and he wears the lion skin, stuff's going down. So
stuff would go down.
That's it for me, for Hercules, and I'll now turn it over to CJ with He-Man.
Oh, He-Man. Most of you probably only know who he is because of that "hey, yeah" video. I can't blame you. I want us to insert that right there rather than listen to me try to imitate it. Basically, He-Man isn't actually his name. His real name is Prince Adam of Eternia, and he is a prince. He's also the most powerful man in the universe, so there's that. As long as we're calling each other things, he is that. And Josh mentioned DC owns his rights, but his rights have actually bounced around a lot. Originally, He-Man was, shown in a mini comic series by H.H. Windsor. And that sort of outlines how he got his powers. And then his rights went to DC Comics and then to Marvel through Star Comics. And then there were some mini comics. And then they went to Image for a little bit. And now they're back at DC Comics, where he infamously stabbed Superman through the chest like a boss.
I love Batman's expression. It's Masters of the Universe versus DC Universe issue number 2. This happens, and just look at Batman's expression. He's like, what?
It was beautiful. It was so beautiful. He was just not expecting it. Yes, he looks like a stone cold badass. It was really, really cool.
He reminds me of Shazam with a sword, which is why I love it.
But yeah, a lot of people might think He-Man takes place on Earth. Not the case. It takes place on Eternia, which is a different planet. Oddly enough, his mother, the Queen, is apparently from Earth. I don't get how that happens. But yeah, it seems like Eternia is a weird place with a lot of magic, but also a lot of science. Realm. Yeah, but it's considered a barbaric society, sort of, and he protects Castle Grayskull, which gives him his powers, sort of. Originally, his super strength was given to him by this goddess that he saved. But Grayskull also, he protects, and apparently that's what gives him his powers in the more recent comics. But when he calls upon the Castle Grayskull by saying, I have the power, it transforms him into He-Man, who is the most powerful being in the universe. Now let's jump to his abilities real quick. He has superhuman strength, speed, durability. He has an enhanced intellect. He's a master combatant. He has really cool energy projection from his sword. And he has absorption. And that sword, of course, is the Sword of Power, which can also, absorb and reflect and shoot out energy of its own. But now, real quick, let's go to his strength. His strength is 100 tons. That is, the full 7 bars. He's extremely strong, and he's on par with Superman. He can move mountains easily, and at one point he pushed Eternia's moon back into place when it was not in place. And at one point he stopped this spacecraft from reaching... I can't remember the term they used, but he stopped this spacecraft from, moving, essentially, and it was at like 25,000 miles per hour, and he actually just stopped it by himself. So he's really strong. His speed is superhuman. He's faster than Hercules. He's very fast due to his lower body strength, and he can produce whirlwinds via moving in a circle with enough effort. His intelligence is gifted. He has great wisdom, and he's able to usually outsmart or talk an opponent out of fighting. Of course, that would be needed when you have a children's cartoon show. It's 4 stars. In his fighting, he is a master. He's been given hand-to-hand combat training by Eternia's Man-at-Arms and also Tila, who is the captain of the Royal Guard. That all adds up to 5 bars. So he's very well trained. His durability, he's invincible. He can survive powerful energy blasts, the weight of mountains, and also various magic attacks. So this is a battle of 2 invincible folks. This would be tough. I think this one is definitely going to come down to the combats. There's no clear winner. But energy projection might be where the difference is made. With the Sword of Power, He-Man can absorb energy, reflect energy, and also project energy beams of its own. So, without it, he's, 1 bar. He has none. But with it, he's 5 bars. He has single. So basically, thanks, Sword of Power, you're really cool. And his extras, he's defeated Superman in battle, like I mentioned. For all the fanboys, check that shit out. He got stabbed through the chest. His sword is indestructible and able to pierce any material. Like Superman's stabbing is a good example of that, because he stabbed him through the chest without issue, which went through his Kryptonian armor, which is supposedly indestructible, and also through his durable body. And it wasn't just like, oh, I stabbed myself with this pin that I'm trying to pin on my chest. Like, how it just gets in you. Like, it wasn't like he just stabbed him with, only the tip. He actually literally just kind of sheared him. Like, he just in and out, like straight through. It was actually ridiculous. So yeah, He-Man, quite a character. Like I said, it's kind of weird. Most people don't know that he's an actual dude. He's got feels.
He has feels.
He's not just He-Man, but he's actually all that. I think this is going to be a ridiculous fight. This would probably, like I think Josh mentioned this before, if he didn't mention it while we were recording, this is definitely probably the most powerful matchup we've ever had, which is saying something when you consider we've had, Thor and Captain Marvel as one of our matchups. It's ridiculous. This might be the strongest matchup we've ever had.
Well, I'm not going to say that, because we had, like, Galactus and everything, Antimatter, but I think that this one is, like, when you talk about, like, sheer, like, raw strength, I think this is definitely the biggest one we've had yet. Really, besides Hercules, or not besides Hercules, besides Doomsday and Hulk. I don't think it's the most powerful one yet, because we have a really powerful one coming up soon, I think in, like, 3-4 matchups. But, yeah, I hope a lot of people don't, because just like Aquaman, the cartoon that He-Man was in really doesn't help him in many people's eyes, because a lot of people don't read He-Man comics. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know he had a comic until a few months ago, when DC had like that crossover. Like I said, that's what really got my attention, because like CJ said, he stabbed Superman clean through the chest like it was nothing. And
yeah, literally, it was like it was nothing. It was
their
not
fight
like
scene is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool seeing.
It wasn't like he snuck up
shine
on him either. It was a fight scene. Like he took him down.
Superman actually went to He-Man.
Yeah, it was crazy. It wasn't like the Assassin's Creed, like you can kill that dude because he doesn't see you. It was awesome. That's probably my favorite feat that he's ever had. Of course,
all due to Skeletor.
Whooping Skeletor's ass. I was gonna say the cartoon is one of his weaknesses. You know what his other weakness is?
What?
The shitty 1987 Dolph Lundgren movie.
I didn't see that for a reason.
Yeah,
I saw the trailer and I saw
nobody
the
saw that for that
reason.
reason.
I'm never gonna watch this.
They ripped off Terminator as well. At the end, Skeletor coming out of the water and being like, "I'll be back." Meh. Skeletor.
But
yeah, Dolph Lundgren.
But back to this matchup, I think a lot of people are probably leaning towards Hercules right now, which I don't blame them, because more people are familiar with Hercules and all that stuff.
Just stop right there. I don't need your help. Let him decide.
But I'm just gonna give my quick spiel before CJ gives his quick spiel. Yeah, so I think Hercules is gonna win. He would win this fight just due to he is a much more vast combat, not training wise, but just combat in general. He's much more advanced than He-Man. Like, I'm sure He-Man's gonna get a few punches in, but when you get to it, I don't see He-Man, like, if Thor couldn't beat Hercules, I don't see how He-Man could beat Hercules in a fight, because Thor essentially is very similar to He-Man in a sense. Like, obviously they're not the same character, but
they both have shoulder-length blonde hair. Both were played by, I was gonna say Europeans, but I guess Australia is not in Europe.
unless you want it to be.
Neither is Russia, I guess. So no, Lundgren, he's not actually Russian. I was thinking Rocky 4. Go ahead.
Oh god. Okay, but anyways, I don't see Hercules losing the hand-to-hand aspect. Strength-wise, I think they're very close, but I want to say Hercules is stronger than He-Man, but He-Man is faster. So that's something that kind of gives He-Man an edge, even though I'd say reflex-wise, I want to give it just to Hercules, just due to the amount of, like, his millennia of fighting here. Like, his reflexes are greater than, you know, almost anyone else's. It is due to the things that he's done in his life, even before he was like a full god. But like when he was a demigod, he did the whole like earth feat, which is crazy. So I think it's gonna be a good fight, especially with He-Man's sword. But I think the sword and the golden mace are gonna cancel each other out to a degree.
I think the sword would cut the mace in half.
Nah, because they're both indestructible. You can't break either one. They're both somewhat magical.
Then I'm gonna use Skyrim logic. Swords swing faster than maces.
Okay, that's fair. Skyrim doesn't lie. But,
Skyrim don't lie. Ball don't lie. Skyrim don't lie.
But that is a good point, though. He probably would get a quicker, like, you know, stab or slash in than Hercules with his mace, maybe. But that's also where the Nemean lion skin comes in, too. Like, could that cut through the Nemean lion skin? That's a good question. Like, I don't think it could, because that'd kind of defeat the purpose of the Nemean lion skin. But
the Nemean lion skin, though, it doesn't cover his whole body. It's just his like back. So I mean, he's leaving his chest exposed.
He's pretty adorable too.
So, by the way, I'm gonna add a category here for the end of this. Hercules definitely wins the extra media category because he does not have a really shitty movie with. He has a shitty movie with the guy from Twilight, but he doesn't have a shitty movie with Dolph Lundgren yet, and he also doesn't have 2 cartoons holding him back because the Disney movie is actually fucking awesome. I've got to say.
It is pretty good. It's pretty inaccurate to the Marvel character, but yeah, I guess if you want to throw that out there, go ahead. But
that was actually Hera's baby in the Disney movie.
Oh god. But yeah, just to, I guess, summarize it somewhat seriously. Hercules, I think he's gonna win just due to his edge in strength and hand-to-hand combat. Because, you know, you don't have to, like, to win this fight, you don't have to, like, submit someone or kill someone. It's whatever is considered winning. So either one of those can work. So, but yeah, CJ, I'll let you go ahead. Why you think He-Man will win?
He-Man... Well, this is a tough one for me, because I think this would be a draw, if anything, just because they match up very well. They're indestructible. They both have indestructible weapons. They both have good hair, I guess. They both were played by former wrestlers. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is, if anything, I think this would be a tie. But if I have to give a reason I think He-Man would win, I think it is the Sword of Power. We've seen what it can do to Superman. Stab him clean through the chest. Also, being faster means that he can work with that sword a little better and maybe get an opening to stab him in the chest. But we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I feel like this is a well-timed matchup because a lot of people are really pumped for that new movie with The Rock. And a lot of people are also really disappointed in the Kellen Lutz movie. Yeah. But I do think I think He-Man's got it. I think, yes, Hercules might be a little bit stronger. Well, I say a little bit stronger. Hercules, we don't know his full limit of his strength, and that is scary. But I think He-Man's speed alone gives him a chance with that sort of power to be able to just stab him straight through the chest. Also, you know, you talk about Hercules taking the mace to the face with little issue. He-Man, he's survived huge energy blasts before and been fine. So, I mean, that's all I'm going to say. I think He-Man will win, but more than likely, I think this would be a tie. So, I guess that about wraps it up.
Oh, yeah. Also, I know it's kind of late for this, but I meant to use this as an example. For people that don't know Hercules in the Marvel Universe, basically think about Green Scar Hulk, if you don't know who that is, World War Hulk. Think about that Hulk, but not as pissed off, more controlled at all the time. Basically, that's what Hercules is, to break it down to like the core of it in the Marvel Universe. Like if you were to compare him to a much more popular character, Green Scar Hulk, that's essentially Hercules. He-Man, I would compare him to... See, this is actually hard because he's considering all the other heroes, he's quite unique to a sense.
He's not comparable to anything. Go watch that YouTube video. I think that's the only argument I need. I take back everything I said.
Oh god.
I want that you just insert link
lost.
here. You did.
I'm about to go bang
You did.
7-gram rocks because that's how I roll.
Can Hercules?
Winning.
Can Hercules sing that?
Actually,
No.
Hercules probably
Shut up.
could sing really well.
Don't say it. Doesn't have the golden flapes to go along with the golden lion thing.
Okay.
At this point, it's after midnight, and I'm really tired.
Yes, it is after midnight. So comment below at your guys who you think would win. Who would win this fight? This may or may not be on Comic Vine. I don't know. We didn't post the last 2 ones, so maybe we'll post this one.
He-Man, the only man to ever stab Superman through the chest, and that's a fact. Take that to the bank.
Okay.
That's why he wins. If you hated Man of Steel, that's a vote for He-Man.